Where were you in November of 2014? I was in line to watch Interstellar, the same week the European Space Agency landed a probe on a comet. Maybe you were listening to Taylor Swift's 1989 album that had just been released. But maybe you were just marveling at how the future had just arrived to us in the form of smart speakers.
It's called Amazon Echo.
Inside of this thing is the
Amazon Echo is like having a genius in your living room.
Amazon has created the Star Trek computer for your home.
This was so long ago that Marques Brownlee looked like this, and he didn't get a prototype. Maybe he's sour about that, and that's why Marques has never reviewed an Alexa. That's a true story, we checked. Fast forward almost 10 years, and you probably own 1 or 2 or 3 or 5 Alexas around your home that you got as a present or you picked up on a sale for like 5 cents each.
Alexa, fart.
But after seeing what real AI can do, these smart speakers just seem pretty dumb these days.
Alexa, you're so stupid.
Actually, little girl, I am a lot smarter than you.
And you're not the only one. The hype is over. The division of Amazon that runs Alexa lost $3 billion last year. And judging by trends, Google and Apple's own speaker assistants aren't doing much different. And now you have GPT making these Wes Anderson trailers every week, literally passing the medical exam and the bar for almost every state in the US. How did these huge companies just miss the train, the AI train? Was this even AI, what these guys were doing? How did OpenAI, which is a company that didn't even exist when Alexa launched, how did it beat them at their own game? I got together with Enrico Tartarotti. He's a fellow YouTube creator who also works as a tech product manager to geek out about product design and figure out how these companies just missed out so badly on this. Alexa has been dead for a while and nobody is talking about it. Welcome to Company Forensics. Now, AI is going to replace many jobs really soon, but a job that we're not really worried about is storytelling. We tried to tell ChatGPT to start a YouTube channel of its own, and it didn't work really well. And that's why my team at Slidebean Agency is not really too worried about this, because humans are still the best at telling stories for humans. For almost 10 years, we've helped companies tell their own stories, whether it's for their demo day or for their meetings with VCs or crunching their financials to estimate how much they need to raise to the dime. We've helped thousands of startups raise hundreds of millions of dollars in venture capital, and we're not stopping. We have a team of designers and analysts and financial analysts who often roll up their own sleeves to help founders tell the best possible story about their businesses. So head out to slidebean.com to learn how we can help you nail your next investor meeting.
Alexa, I'm trying to talk to you.
Alexa, I'm gonna shoot a video about you. You should mute yourself.
Sorry, I don't know that one.
Alexa, I'm gonna say some nasty stuff about you. Go on mute.
I'm not sure.
Alexa, I'm gonna say some bad stuff about you. Go to mute. When Alexa released in 2014, people really went crazy for them or her.
Hello, I'm here.
Oh. Hi.
Enough for it to sell out ahead of the holidays. By 2019, just 5 years after launch, Amazon had already sold 100 million devices, which is actually close to how fast the iPhone sold in the first few years. It had managed to make Google and Apple sprint to just create a device and catch up with them. It was the start of another revolution, right? Well, really more than Alexa, we were crazy about IoT in the 2010s.
Let's take a look closer now at the Internet of Things.
So where do you think this is going? I mean, the Internet of Things, my car, talking to my washing machine, talking to my cell phone.
I don't know if it was just too much of the Jetsons or that House of Tomorrow cartoon, if you remember that.
This is your House of Tomorrow.
The point is, we as a society, we were ready for our home to be smart. And so we bought smart locks and smart lamps and smart bulbs and smart strips and Wi-Fi and smart toilets. They were never cheap, by the way. It seemed that the tech behind those devices had been around for years, but they still haven't been able to lower the price for most of these. And they definitely have not become a standard in houses around the world. That's a topic for another day. But the point is that Alexa was going to help us bring them all together in that same platform and just interacting with her to control our houses. But it didn't. Alexa, turn off the bedroom lights.
A few things share the name bedroom lights. Which one did you want?
See, to me there are two big problems with the voice interfaces that we all become used to use, like Alexa, Google Assistant, Bixby. and now not Bixby. And the first one is the lack of discoverability of the actions. Let's say that you are in Microsoft Word. You get all these nice buttons and icons and options that you have. And each one does a different thing, like change the font, change the alignment, turn on Clippy. All the possible actions are just displayed right there, and you can just click on what you want. But with voice interfaces, things get a little bit trickier. In a utopian world, Alexa or Siri will understand natural language so well that they can just interpret what command you want and just execute it.
Hey, you just got an email from Mark Lumen.
What are you talking about?
Read email.
Okay, I will read email for Theodore Twombly.
I'm sorry, what's Lumen say?
But the reality is, well, very different. I often find myself using a slightly different wording than the one the assistants expect. Like adding a track to my Spotify favorites instead of my liked songs, and then suddenly the assistant completely blanks out and doesn't know what to do. And this almost magical system just falls apart. The promise of voice interfaces is that they are natural, but they end up being just memorizing commands that you throw at your assistant for them to do some basic things.
To me, this connects to a concept of dead simple. Something that's simple enough so that your grandma could use it. iPhones, I think, have gotten closer and closer to that. And that has led to mass adoption. Everybody has a smartphone these days. My 75-year-old uncle has a smartphone, and he has adopted the basics and he can use it. Smart homes are not that simple. They're not even close to simple. Alexa was supposed to do it, but configuring any smart home device or troubleshooting it, setting up the rooms and the zones, it's a mess. And that goes for most Alexa skills. That adoption, that simplicity is really crucial for any new technology to be an actual revolution. Side note on this, we actually traveled to El Salvador a couple weeks back to understand about Bitcoin and the fact that it had been legalized as tender in the country. We actually went there to see if people were gonna use it or were actually using it to pay for stuff as a currency that's now legal in their country. And you should tune out next week to see how that went, because Bitcoin is not that simple. This concept is really a test of whether something is going to transcend and whether something can truly reach mass and universal adoption.
Most people just end up using these devices to play some music, set an alarm, or just turn on the lights. Because this is the maximum level of complexity that we trust these devices to handle. Would you trust your assistant with a command like, hey, I need a new phone, just buy me the best one for my needs and have it shipped to my house? That requires a very high trust that I think maybe you and your nerdier friend that knows about phones will even get to do.
Alexa, do you know what ChatGPT is?
Disney Channel PT is a YouTuber with 1,500,000 subscribers.
Alexa, do you know what ChatGPT is?
ChatGPT is an AI-powered chat tool released in November 2022.
Now this brings me to another crucial factor, which is adoption, but by developers. Again, you were saying that comparing Alexas to iPhones is unfair, but for the first 4 years after they launched, they sold a very comparable amount of devices. But take a look at apps or skills available in each platform. By year 4, Alexa had about 100,000 skills in the platform, but iPhones had almost 400,000 apps. These devices don't just grow because of how useful they are. They grow because we make them useful. I mean, us startups, creators. Companies believed in the iPhones. Really smart people quit their jobs and started new businesses because they believed in what this platform would become. They believed in the money that they could make by building a product for this platform, but not for Alexa.
To me, it comes down to how powerful the thing that you're building your app store or marketplace on really is. If you think about the iPhone apps explosion, as a developer, you now suddenly have a store that is built upon a new device with multi-touch capabilities, cameras and gyroscopes and storage and GPUs and powerful CPU for the time. This is what is really powerful. It's not the app store in itself. The technology underneath was just killer. But when it comes to the Alexa skills, the problem is that they are subject to the same technological limitation of even the first-party commands that Amazon developed for Alexa. The lack of proper feedback, the low discoverability of the actions that you can actually do, and the fact that you can only get to a certain level of complexity. So yes, you have that recipes app or the Who Wants to Be a Millionaire game, and it's all pretty nice, but if you make the equivalents to iPhone apps, well, these were basically the first kind of apps that appeared around 2008, 2009 in the App Store. But if you think of ChatGPT, for example, everybody rushed onto it because the technology underneath is just so good.
Shut up! It can fit about 5 to 7 standard carry-on suitcases which have similar dimensions and capacity. Holy.
Which is accurate. That statement is
That's insane. That's insane.
Text processing, the language processing is finally to a point where people realized you can build some pretty complex shit with this. And that's why now everybody is scrambling to build on top of ChatGPT with the plugins or through the API.
Many Alexa skills are just shitty. They're not even maintained by the developers, or they're just plain useless. The tech in this audio-only interface is just not good enough to build good products on top of it. But maybe more importantly, Amazon didn't really care about creating a potential source of income for these developers. Alexa's business model was a completely different thing, and it was broken. Alexa, why are you dying?
I'm not crying. It's just been raining in the cloud.
I'm still not ready to destroy my Alexa. Let's just get some random YouTube video about it.
And after removing them, I could lift out both the tweeter and the woofer.
This is a first generation Amazon Echo. They used to sell these for $179, but the components inside them, well, they cost about $179. Several employees at Amazon have revealed that they've always been selling Alexas at break even, maybe even a little bit of a loss. Why? Well, first, because Amazon has a lot of money. They can afford to do that. As stupid as it sounds, with the promise of adoption and dominance, they can sell stuff and even if they're losing money. Until recently, the stock price never seemed to reflect that losing money was a problem for the company. And it got Google in enough trouble. Arguably, it even killed the first Apple HomePod. Why would you buy one of those if Alexa is just half the price?
Amazon's original plan was for Alexa to be a device that people would shop with, make their daily groceries, or even buy that occasional gift. But it turns out that shopping is a very complex and nuanced activity, and the voice interface is just not sophisticated enough to handle it.
The theory behind this business model was simple and not completely crazy. Adopt Alexa into your home. Because it's easy, you are gonna end up buying more Amazon products. So if giving away a device made you shop at Amazon more, then your LTV as an Amazon customer increases. That's a good model. By the way, guys, did you hear about this TV that they give you away the TV and it has a screen, it has the main screen and it's got a screen under it that always only plays ads. So you have to have both screens on all the time and you get a free TV, but add a constant stream of ads forever, whatever you're watching. But it's a free TV. I mean, I think it's a shitty model. Like I respect my ritual of watching movies, but it is kind of like the same idea, right? Like supporting the price of a product through, I would never have this, no.
Don't mind your data being out there. Now's the time to get on the list before it's too late.
The problem with Alexa specifically was that this alternative business model, it never really worked for them. And let me show you why. Here's an experiment. I'm gonna show you an Amazon page for just 1 second, and let's see how much information you can figure out from that 1 second. Here we go. Probably, this was enough to see what the product was, of course, the brand, the price, the amount, a little bit of customer reviews, at least the stars, maybe even if you can get that tomorrow with Amazon Prime. How long does it take to set an order on Alexa versus on a phone? Alexa, I'd like to buy some tennis balls.
Amazon's choice is Mahik Orange tennis balls. 12-pack advanced training tennis balls practice balls. It's $18.99 with delivery by May 31st. You can say, buy it now, or save for later.
No, I'd like to buy a can of tennis balls.
A top result is Wilson Championship tennis balls, extra duty, single can, 3 balls. It's $3.94 with delivery by May 31st. You can say, buy it now, or save for later.
Do you have any cans of pen balls?
Are you trying to shop for cans of pinballs?
No, I'd like a can of tennis balls, pen brand.
Are you trying to shop for can of tennis balls, pen brand?
Yes.
The second big problem with voice interfaces is feedback. In the world of GUIs or graphical user interfaces, the ones that we're all being used to seeing, we see the feedback of our actions visually on a screen. We can scan the page for the most important stuff, and we can absorb huge amounts of information thanks to visual cues, hierarchy, and a bunch of other visual design rules.
A top result is Wilson Championship tennis balls, extra duty, single can, 3 balls. It's $3.94 with delivery by May 31st. You can say, buy it now, or save for later.
Buy it now.
Okay, shipping is $5.99 for delivery by Wednesday, May 31st. The total including tax is $10.81. Want to place your order?
Yes.
Thanks. Order place. If you change your mind, just ask me to cancel the order.
There you go.
Not only it takes far more for you to hear all the options, but you just get inundated with information that are not easy to process. And at the end of the day, you don't have the idea of what is the best product for you. And it's because of all these different problems that these assistants just cannot do the more complex tasks like shopping.
Alexa was supposed to be a shopping enhancer, but it never really came close to that. But also failed at this other purpose of being smart. Aside from a few very simple answers from the web, Alexas never really were smart at all. ChatGPT is smart. It's spooky smart, enough to literally cause this revolution that we're going through right now. And this goes for Siri and for Google Assistant as well. They never really got as smart as we had imagined that they would be. Alexa, is ChatGPT better than you?
From Repashu.com. Chatty is a video and text chat application that uses WebRTC.
No, Alexa, stop.
To stream audio.
Alexa, stop. Alexa, is ChatGPT better than you?
Sorry, I'm not sure about that.
Going out on a limb here, I would even argue that the success of OpenAI today, it derives from the fact that we had been waiting, we had been ready for these assistants to be this smart for almost 10 years since Alexa released. But another huge blow across the entire ecosystem was privacy.
Every online interaction is recorded by dozens, hundreds, even thousands of so-called third parties online.
In our video a couple weeks back, we explored how privacy has become a concern in the past few years. People are becoming more aware of how their data is used. When people's data is used to flip elections around the world, we start paying attention now. These devices, after all, are data collection devices now. According to Amazon's terms of service, they can store voice recordings to train their models. They store these recordings in association with the user accounts unless you disable that. Now, on the other side, Google does officially tie the data to the user's profiles, even though, hear this out, they pinky promise that they're not gonna use anything that they hear from their Google Home devices to target ads to you. Wink. Apple has completely capitalized on all this privacy awareness, and it's the only one of the three where officially voice recordings are not tied to a personal ID. The default option is not to store anything of what Siri hears. Now, as part of GDPR, you can request that data to be deleted, and you can even request that data to be downloaded, and just so you know that what the company knows about you. And well, this backfired for Alexa. Now check this guy out. That's not his face, but we needed to put a face to the story. Anyway, this is a real person, it's a real story, and thanks to GDPR, he was entitled to request the download of all the data that Amazon knew about him. And then Amazon accidentally sent him 1,700 audios from Alexa from someone else. According to the reporter that covered the story, the audios that he heard were enough to paint a pretty complete picture of who this person was. He had multiple Alexas around the house. He talked to Alexa while on the shower. There was this woman who visited from time to time, and it's a month's worth of audio recordings from this person. I actually had a first-hand encounter with how this data is used, really a second-hand encounter. My friend, who shall remain nameless, used to work at this company in Costa Rica, who also shall remain nameless, who had the task of reviewing the transcripts of Hey Google conversations. That is, Hey Google, do this. That recording gets stored. It gets transcribed automatically, and then it gets sent to this third-party company overseas in Costa Rica, whose job is to review if the transcript is correct against the original audio. The point is, your voice on these devices is making way around the world. Now, it doesn't stop there. In 2019, the New York Times published a piece on how Alexa never actually stops listening. It has to listen for the trigger word, Alexa, to activate the blue light, which is a good user experience, right? You see a blue light, you're assuming that that's the moment when Alexa is listening. But no, it's listening all the time.
You actually don't have to yell at it, okay? It uses far-field technology so it can hear you from anywhere in the room.
The article doesn't really conclude if what we say outside of the context of Alexa blank is studied or shared or used to target products to us, but we can't just assume that it's not being used.
Her Amazon device recorded a private conversation and sent that recording to a random contact in Seattle.
I felt invaded, like total privacy invasion. Unplug your Alexa devices right now.
And this is all to say that Alexa is a struggling product. The once favorite child of Jeff Bezos just stopped being that in 2020.
Alexa, tell me a Thanksgiving joke.
For Thanksgiving, can you let this Amazon worker have a day off?
That's funny.
And even if executives say that they're still committed to the future of Alexa. Amazon has been laying off thousands of employees, including in this department. They've stopped reporting individual Alexa sales, which kind of means that it's not something that they really care about anymore, or maybe that they can't even brag with anymore. Now, we don't know exact numbers because they report this as a division, and this division runs Alexa and Prime Video. It's called the Amazon's Worldwide Digital Unit. They reported $3 billion in operating losses by the start of 2020, and experts say that most of those losses come from Alexa devices. It's a money burnout, and in an era of optimizing costs and profitability, it isn't really clear how long this burning is gonna last for Alexa. But let's talk about the future for a second.
A robot. What are we gonna do with a robot? Astro, follow me.
Did you see the robot that Amazon released?
Oh yeah, the small robot, yeah.
I can't realize why this is not a meme yet. Like, it is creepy, and it is expensive, and it is pretty useless.
I feel like it's not even a PR stunt. It's just product that they release for some enthusiasts and just trying things out. I think the few videos I've seen of it at work, I've seen a video from the guys at the studio from the KBHD, and they were trying it out. And there were some technical things that are really cool, like the fact that it follows you and it can turn around where you are based on where you speak, so you can identify where you are. That's pretty cool, and that's the whole googly eyes kind of thing. But in terms of like real use, yeah, it's pretty useless. At least they could have added a vacuum.
The future is in real AI. You can pick up the pieces today and build something vastly more powerful than Alexa, just with the stuff that's available. Just grab any text-to-speech processing. We've had those for over a decade now. It's not even novel, and most of them are pretty cheap. You can plug that to ChatGPT and maybe give some training text so it gets a personality. And then you can plug that to something like 11 Labs that can even clone your own voice. Go one step further, put a face to it, and you get this.
The problem is the term AI had been thrown very lightly up until today. The text-to-speech and the natural language processing Alexa used were good for the time, and that was still AI. It's just nothing compared to AI today.
Amazon could update the devices, or at least update the AI that's working in the background on their servers to provide the answers. If they can do that, you have 100 million devices out there that are suddenly as smart as GPT. Do we think that's possible?
They could just hook it up to GPT. Thing is that GPT is not geared for a fast response time. It's geared for quality answers. And basically, if you try it out with whatever API you have, it's not going to be as fast as a human talking person-to-person interaction, especially with more complex queries. The second thing, I believe, is the cost, because I don't know the exact figures. I remember trying out the API, but basically it's a few cents per call. So multiply that by 100 million devices, and anytime you ask for it, you spend a few cents, it adds up pretty quickly. So I guess what Amazon would do is just build their own, I think. And if they might want to do some compromise on speed versus quality of the answer, that's, I think, the way they can do it. Because yes, they could integrate GPT today, but I don't think it's going to be a great move for them.
Remember Her? Do you remember Her, the movie? With the guy that falls in love with the.
I watched it a long time ago.
It seems that there are no pieces of technology missing for Her, the film, to be real.
ChatGPT is smart enough to pretend to be your girlfriend.
It's just the interface part, right? Like GPT now is text, and they haven't moved that to speech, but we have all these little pieces of technology separate.
Is it only a matter of time until somebody builds this?
It already exists. I don't remember where I read it, but basically they shut it down for some period or entirely, and people got really mad because they were attached to this, AI girlfriends or whatever that they had.
Where do you think Alexa is 5 or 10 years from now?
To be honest, I think it's really tied to what Amazon becomes as a company in 10 years. I don't expect a big battle of the chatbot, like a big war, Siri versus Alexa versus Google Assistant, to be honest. It would be far more interesting to me to understand if these big AI models would become monolithic and centralized, like everybody's using GPT, or just 2 or 3 big models everybody uses, or if it actually becomes something much more, say, democratic and open source, where there's thousands of models and you can easily customize your own. To me, that's much more powerful than a better Alexa or a better Google.
So this is a category that's ripe for disruption, and I'm really excited about what could happen. But for now, unless Amazon does anything about it, you obviously don't think of Alexa as your assistant. You just have to think of it as what it is. Alexas today are just glorified Bluetooth speakers.
Actually, to Enrico's point, we've been secretly working on this
new product. But since Enrico talked about it, maybe I'll hint about it. We're working on this new platform called Teammate, which pretty much does that. It's GPT powered, and it lets you have very contextual conversations about your company, your business, write your pitch deck, do all this stuff, because it knows and understands your business, and it gets smarter about understanding your business. We only have a very limited beta available, but if you want to check it out, you should head out to teammatehq.com and let us know what you think. Bye.